Alright, now let's implement the client-server architecture through a very simple Java-based application. You might have used systems like Netflix, YouTube, Uber, WhatsApp, Instagram. So all such systems are based on client-server architecture, right? So today we are going to implement a very simple application using Java programming language, where we'll be having a server and the client will send request to the server, and those requests will be processed by the server, and the response will be given back to the client. So we are going to create a very simple client server architecture based system where a client will send a text message, right? And that text message will be received by the server, and the server will capitalize that text message and will send back to the client, right? So the client will receive the text message capitalized, and also the client will tell the server will tell the client that thank you so much for using our services, and the text will be capitalized. So that is a very simple application. We are going to implement this application using Java programming language so that you can understand the concept of client server architecture very clearly. So let me add the code. So I won't be writing the code line by line. I've already written the code just for the sake of saving your time. So I will be starting explaining that code line by line, and you would be able to understand each and everything very clearly. For both of the modules, I've already added the code for the server and for the client, right? So we will start the server first, and then the client will be started, and both of them will be connected, and also I will show you how both of them are connected using port number. Each and everything you will understand in this tutorial. So let's start with the code of the server, right? So I'll be explaining the code of the server first. So here you can see the line of code I've added for the server. This is named server.java. This is the file name, and I will be running this code before running the client code, because the server must be running before the client sends request, and that request will be accepted by the server. So the first line, you can see I've imported some of the classes from the Java package. So this is the Java package, and inside the Java package there is a sub package input output, and from that package I want to add a class called buffer reader. So buffer reader class is added for reading the text which will be received from the client side. So this is the server, this is the code for the server, right? So it will be receiving text messages from the client, and I want to read that text message using the buffer reader. So this is the built-in class, so I don't have to write the code from scratch. I can use the built-in classes. And again, you can see the input output exception. For example, if there are some exceptions, so again I don't have to find out what type of exception it is. I have a built-in class in Java package, and I have included that class as well, because I will be using the functionality of that class, right? Then in line number 3 you can see input stream reader. Since I will be getting the data from another computer, the client is using a different computer and the server will be using a different computer, so the data will be sent through internet. And you know that whenever you send the data through internet, so the data is sent in the form of 1 and zeros. So that is what we call the byte data. The byte data cannot be cannot be read by any other class. So we have specialized class. So the input stream reader will convert the byte data into readable data, like type of character. So then we have imported the print writer class. Obviously, when we want to send the data, so we cannot send the characters. We need to convert the characters into byte of data. So again, for that we are going to use print writer, because the server will write a message in a character, and then those characters will be sent to the client. So for writing those characters we are going to use the print writer. Then we have imported the server socket. So this is the class which we are going to use for creating this server. Whenever you create an object of this class, so it will automatically create a server. And then the socket, this is the connection which will be built with the client node. So we are going to use a instance of this class for the connection between the server and the the client, right? So these were some classes which we needed for building this application, and I hope now you are clear about each of them. And then in line number 8 we have started our class server, and on line number 10 we have a private variable of type int, and it is a static, which means that you can use this variable without having an object of the server class, since it is static, and it is final, that you cannot change the value of this variable. And it is 8080. This is the port number, and you might know that there are 65,536 ports in each computer. So they are used for receiving different kind of messages through internet. So we have different ports in our systems, and we are going to use this 8080 port for receiving the request from the client. So this port will be listening for the requests, for the messages, for the connections. And this is our main entry, the main function, and inside the main function you can see that the server is starting. So whenever you run this program, this message will be shown that the server is starting. So inside the main we have a try block, and this try block will find for the exception, and whenever it encounter any kind of exception, so that exception will be thrown and it will be caught over here in catch block, right? So for example, if there is some connection errors between the client and the server, so this try block will identify that what type of exception it is. So it will say that it is a server exception, and then it will print the exact message and then the exact record and track the record, like what went wrong, due to which errors this connection was not built properly. So for that we have used the try and catch block. In line number 15 you can see I've created an instance of server socket class, and you know that we have added this class, we have imported this class over here in line number 5, and this class can be used for creating the server. So now actually we want to create a server, and whenever you want to create a server, and this is just an instance of that class, we have to give the port number, and the port number is already declared in line and initialized in line number 10. So we can pass that port number to this class. So our server is now created, and then we can show this message: the server is listening on port number 8080. So this message will be shown to the user, right? Then we are running the infinite loop while true, right? So it will keep running until and unless it receive a request from the client. So here you can see again I have created an instance of another class socket, which I imported over here. So this class represents the connection between the client and the server. So I created an instance of this class, and this object will be holding the connection server socket dot accept. So this is the method which is inside the server socket, and it will be called, and the object that object will be stored inside the client socket. So this client socket is actually the connection which will be established between the client and the server. And then we can show the client connected, and then we can extract the IP address of the client.socket.get init address.get host address. So by doing this we can actually extract the exact address of our client, and then we can show that this client is connected, and then we can handle the client, right? So now this is not a built-in method. We have defined this method, and I'm gonna click on this so you will see the exact method. So here you can see we passed that client to the handle client method, and from line number 22 whenever this function will be called, so the function is defined over here, private void, and then the handle client method, and inside this method it is receiving the socket type of object, and we have already passed that. Client socket was of type socket, right? So we passed that object, and now in line number 32 again we have a try and catch flag for finding the exception and then throwing that exception. But print writer, this was the class which was added over here, print writer. If I point it out, so it is on line number 4. So we added that class and we can use the instances of this class. And right here I have created an object of this print writer class out. So this is the name of the object which I've created. And now using this out object, I can send message to the client, because this is used to print messages for the client, right? We cannot use the system.print.out method for sending message to the client. So we'll be using this special object for sending messages to the client. And whenever you want to create an object of this print writer, so again you have to pass two parameters. The one is the client where you want to send the message, and the other one is the true, right? So this is the flush, the auto flush. Auto flush mean that whenever data comes, so the data will be sent straight to the client, so it will not be stored in buffer. So in line number 33, I am creating an instance of buffer reader, and this buffer reader was also imported in line number 1. This is the class which is used for reading the text efficiently, like the text is stored in buffer and then each buffer can be read, right? So buffer reader, this is the class, and I'm creating an instance of this class. So again I have to use the new keyword and then the class name, the buffer, and if there are some parameters, since the constructor is accepting parameters, so I have to send those parameters as well. And here you can see that I have sent the parameter, and this parameter is actually not straightforward parameter. It is object of input stream reader class, and that input stream reader class also accepting object of client socket dot get input stream, right? So this object was created and it was sent to this buffer reader, and now I can use this in object to read the buffer. And then in line number 35, you can see that I have string type of variable input line. This is very straightforward. And then I have run the while loop, and inside the while I set the condition input line equals to in that read line not equal to null, right? So this is the condition. Whenever this condition is true, whenever whenever there is string available, so then the loop will be keep running. And then received from client, so the input line will be shown that this message was received from client. And then in line number 40, here you can see I am creating a variable of type string with the name of response, and then the input line dot to uppercase. So what I'm doing, I'm just going to convert that input line which was received from the client, and it was converted to the uppercase. And then thank you for using our services. We have capitalized your text and then the plus response. So this was the response. And I already told you that you cannot use the system.out.print. You have to use the special type of class. There was a print writer, and the print writer class was used. An instance of print writer was out. So the out object along with print line is used to send this message to the client along with response, right? So then send response to the client, and then the response will be written over here. And again, if there were some exceptions, so that exception will be caught over here, and in line number 47 the exception will be printed that this type of exception is happening. And then this finally keyword makes sure that line of code should be executed in either case, right? So it will be executed whatever the case is. So finally try, and then the client socket will be closed and the client is disconnected. And if there were some errors, so again the errors will be encountered by the try block and will be card by the catch block, and it will be shown over here. So that was just a simple code for the server. Now let's understand the client side as well. All right, now let's understand the client side. For the client side, I've also imported some of the classes like buffer reader for reading the text that will be received from the server efficiently. So I want to read from buffer. That is why I've imported this class. Then for finding the exception, I've imported the input-output exception from java.io package. Then for the reading of bytes data, I've imported the input stream reader, since I'll be receiving the data in the form of 1 and zeros, like in the form of bytes. So I want to convert those bytes into characters. So I'll be using this class input stream reader for reading the bytes data. Then for writing the message that should be sent to the server, I'm using the print writer. And then for the connection, I'm using the socket. And then if there is something not working correctly, so I'll be using unknown host exception, like 404, the page is not found. These are some sort of errors which you might have seen when you were sending request to the server. 404, 503. So these are different type of exceptions, errors which you can get. Then for writing the message through keyboard, I'll be using the scanner class, in which I've imported from java.util package. So I've started the client code from client class code from line number 9. As you know that whenever you want to connect a client with the server, right? So for example, this is a server and this is the client. The client should listen on a particular port. In our case, we started listening on port number 8080. So that was the only requirement. You should start listening on a particular port. But for the client, we need two important things, right? The one is the IP address and the other one is the port number. So whenever we want to connect with this system, this is a computer, so we need IP address as well, like what is the IP address of this computer and what is the port number on which we will be building connection with this PC. So these two things are required for the client, and for the server we only need to listen on a particular port. So I have declared these two declared and initialized these two variables, and again these are static and final, which means that you can use these objects without having the object of this client class. And also these are final, which means that you cannot change the value of these variables. And then in line number 14, this is the main entry point, this is the main function, and inside the main function you can see that I have the instance of socket class, and the socket class is basically used for representing a connection. So this is a connection socket. Again, for building connection, we want to pass the IP address and the port number. So this is the port number and this is the IP address, which we have already initialized in line number 11 and 12. So we passed those two variables to the socket. So now the connection will be built. If the client find the exact IP address and then the port number, and the port number is actually used by the server for listening, so then the connection will be built between the server and the client. Then I need an object of print writer out. This is the name of the object and this is the type of the object, print writer. I have already imported print writer class, so I can use an object of that class. But again, whenever you want to create an object of print writer, so you need two parameters to pass to this class, and the one is the exact connection, the get output stream. So you can get the object of output stream using the socket class, the socket object dot get output stream. It will give you the exact stream, which is the exact connection which is established between the client and the server, and the auto flush, which means that we want to flush the buffers auto, right? So whenever something comes inside the buffer, it will be flushed, it will be sent directly to the server. And then buffer reader, this is just for reading the text which the client will receive from the server. So again, whenever you want to create an object of this buffer reader class, so you have to pass another object, and that object is of type input stream reader, and that input stream reader object again can be extracted by socket.get input stream. So this method will return an object, and that object will be passed to this buffer reader class. And then in line number 25, you can see that I use the scanner class, the object of a scanner class, and this object can be used to take the input from the user using keyboard. And then these lines are inside the try block. So if something goes wrong, the try block will identify the kind of error, the kind of exception, and it will be caught and will be thrown later on, and will be shown to the user that this kind of exception occurred. In line number 27, you can see the connected to the server error and enter your message or type exit to quit. And then in line number 29, you can see that string user input. This is a variable of type string user input. And again, we are running the infinite loop while true, and the system out print, and then this message will be printed, and then user input scanner dot next line. So that's where I'm actually taking the input from the user, and I'm storing that input inside the user input variable, which is already declared in line number 29. So the text will be taken through keyboard from the user, and it will be stored inside the user input variable. Then if the exit dot equal ignore case user input, so if the user input equals to the exact message, then the loop will be broken, so it will be not running if the user input is equivalent to this text exit, either in capitalized case or small letters. Then out dot print ln user input. So this is the message which will be sent to the server. Since the out object is of class print writer, so it is used for sending a message to the server. In server case, it was used for sending a message to the client. And here you can see that we have sent the user input to the server. And then in line number 43, you can see the string server response. So again, we are declaring a variable of type string, and actually that server response will be received through object of buffer reader. The buffer reader will read each line, and it will store the text inside the server response, and then the server response will be shown to the user that the server says and the server response, right? And then if there were some errors, so all the errors will be caught, unknown exception E, and the server not found, and get message. And then this was the first try block, and this was for the second try block. So we have closed both of the try blocks over here. So if there were some exception in input output, it will be shown. If there were some exception and the server not found, so again we can get the exception over here. So it was just a simple code for the client side. Now let me run this code and show you that how the text can be sent from the client side to the server, and the server how the connection can be built. So for that, I have to run the server first and separate terminal, and then I have to run the code of this client in a separate terminal. So only then I can make the connection between the client and the server. So let me run the server first, and then I will run the code for the client. So this was our server code. I want to run this. I'm gonna click on run code. So here you will see the output. Let me try it again. What happened? Let me try it again, and I'm gonna add another terminal over here, and I'm going to run the, let me delete this one, and let me go to this one, and I'm going to run the client.java. So here I can run this code. So here you can see the message connected to the server. Enter your message or type exit to quit. So I'm gonna enter the message, hello, how are you, right? So I received a response from the server. Server says, thank you for using our services. We have capitalized your text, hello, how are you? And you can see the text is actually capitalized. So that was the main goal of our server, to make the text capitalized. And it was a very simple application in which I wanted to show you that how the client server architecture can be built. This was the simplest version of client server architecture based system. I hope you have clear idea of how client server architecture works. and it will definitely open the doors for new systems that you will be able to understand in your list of upcoming projects. Thank you so much for watching this. Before you go, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of my upcoming videos. I regularly share valuable lessons, practical tips, and step-by-step tutorials to help you improve and grow. And if you are serious about mastering software design and architecture and want a complete structured learning experience, so I have created a full course that includes detailed lessons, assignments, quizzes, and downloadable workbooks to help you practice and apply what you learn. So if that sounds helpful, just check the link in the description below and enroll in the course today. I would love to see you inside and support you on your learning journey.